You.
What's up, man?
Not much, man. Hey, it's been a long time. We just had life just gets crazy busy, particularly this time of year. But I'm glad to be back at it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been has been quite some time, so glad to be back recording. The Hurricane Helene kind of screwed things up here for a while, and we've got power, we've got air conditioning and the internet, which we didn't have the internet for a good long time. So glad to have everything back up and running and be good to go.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you guys got, pretty good slap from that, being out power wise, and as you mentioned, internet and whatnot. The thing we do, I would like to say, is just thoughts, prayers, good vibes, whatever, to everyone else that was affected. It's just nasty situation. Um, and then you know, just seeing some of the pictures, videos, whatever. Just man, this just breaks your heart.
Yeah.
And you always think, you lived in Florida for many years. You know what it's like to live through hurricanes. You know what it's like to live through bad hurricanes. And you never think in a million years that a hurricane would affect inland that far and that badly.
Yeah, and that was kind of what threw me was it's not like it was a super like it wasn't a category 4 when it hit here, but the infrastructure is absolutely not designed to withstand what it got and the amount of rain. The
Yeah.
amount of rain alone that dropped would have devastated anywhere, whether it was Florida or places that are used to hurricanes or not. When it hit here, and especially the winds, because I'll tell you what, I thought it was bad in Ian in Florida with the telephone poles down, the wires everywhere. They looked like rats' nests of electrical wire. It looked very similar here, and it's because again the infrastructure is not designed for it.
Right.
So and God, thank God we weren't in Asheville or any of the places that got hit worse, because as bad as we had it, we at the end of the day still have our house, still have our vehicles, still have, I mean, my vehicle got destroyed, but that's another story. Um, there's places where people lost everything, and it's going to take years to rebuild.
Yeah, and the just the casualties too. The loss of life is insanely high.
Right.
And a lot of people still missing. It's just not good, and like you said, it's going to take years, it's going to take decades just for you know any kind of resemblance back to normal for some areas.
Right.
But yeah, no, definitely to send my thoughts, prayers, good vibes, what have you. All those affected by Helene, and not far behind it, Milton. I know roughed up Florida quite a
Yeah.
bit there. I don't know that I'd ever seen so many tornado warnings at one time on a map. About filled the whole state of Florida. It was crazy to see that.
Oh, dude, yeah. And here's the thing is my phone's still connected to the Lee County emergency alert system. So every time they were getting tornado warnings, it was going off on my phone. And it was just insane. It was just one after the other, after the other, after the other. And it was like I was watching it just because I was so concerned. Like I'm looking at stuff where I could see it, because at that point I was still struggling with internet and all that stuff myself. But what I could see was devastating, some of the areas. And honestly, even though it wasn't a major, a quote unquote major storm, it still wiped out between Helene and Milton, wiped out Fort Myers Beach, wiped out different areas. Just it's been a devastating storm season, and thank God we're reaching the end of it, because people need a break, man.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, let's shift gears. Let's talk some just random pod stuff, man. We haven't recorded in a long time. We got several topics to hit. And let's see where we go.
So should we start with one of our usual punching bags and go with some limited run game shenanigans?
I thought you were going to say the reasons why Richie's not here and Harley Quinn Smith.
Oh yeah, we're hashtag richless again tonight to bring that old chestnut back. But no, so limited run. We talked about this when it first happened when they had released D for the 3DO, and people were reporting that it was on a CDR.
Mm-hmm.
And so apparently the deal goes like this. They thought, number one, the guy that was in charge thought, oh, well, first of all, people aren't going to play it. They're just going to keep it sealed like as a collector's edition. And number two, they won't notice the difference. And since it's cheaper than burning an actual 3DO disc, that's the way we're going to go.
Yeah.
So,
I read through the article and I actually have it pulled up now. And man, just golly, it's what a crazy thing. So this came out initially, 4 or 5 months ago. I think it was hit where they were like being accused of using CDRs and all this stuff. And then this news hits and it's like, well, yeah, here's the reasons why. And it's like, are you serious?
yeah.
Like, dude, hear yourself. You have a set of gamers here that are passionate fans of a particular system, and you're paying a premium price for, and regardless of whatever a title might be, but you're playing a premium price for what you think is a real 3DO game, and you're getting basically something out of the back of a van. Like, dude, I
don't understand it. I don't understand the thinking. I don't understand how anyone that was involved in that could still be with the company. I honestly, dude, there's stuff that I really want to order from them, but after this whole thing, I'm like, I don't want to give them money.
Well, it makes you wonder about, okay, so think about some of the cartridges you might have ordered in the past or any kind of paraphernalia. Are they trying to cut corners everywhere? Are they using a cheaper quality on one particular item ahead of something else? What's going on here? Are they really just that focused on, this the bottom line? I get it. It's a company, got to be profitable. But you're paying, customers paying a premium for what they're thinking is a premium product. But no, it's like, yeah, like you were saying though, it makes you question, hey, I really want this particular game, or I really want this particular, collector's item, collector's set, and I'm paying 100 or more for it. It's like, well, I know I'm like overpaying for nostalgia or whatever reasons. I already know that getting into it, but now I've got to question the quality of what I'm getting. Even it really makes you wonder.
Yeah, like there's two things that I really want from them. There's the supposed complete edition of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge, which adds all the DLC, even the newest stuff that just came out. And that's like $35. Mm-hmm. So not expensive. I can handle that. I can stomach that. But there's this one game. It's called Valkyria Chronicles 4, and it's the complete with all DLC on the Switch, or you can get it on Xbox or PS5. But the edition that I want is this $200 edition. And first of all, I really have a hard time stomaching $200 on a single game.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get it. But were I in a position to get it, like, now I'm questioning, all right, what is the quality of these items I'm getting? That I'm spending $200. I expect $200 worth of quality.
Yeah,
But you're telling me that these editions that you sent out that were $200 or whatever before are not, we're coming with a burnt disc.
yeah,
How do I know that you're not just, like you said, cutting corners everywhere, and I'm getting like a Chinese lead paint tank with this thing,
yeah, dude, for real. And it's funny. So you made the comment about $200 game. It made me think. I fired up the PlayStation last night, and kids and I were playing Jackbox 9. Actually, it's one of the downloads off of the PS Plus. And but I was looking around. I'm like, I know Silent Hill 2 finally launched. I know it's kind of negative press, leading up to this point. Let me just fire and see what the digital download cost. And I was like, why is it $70? Like, I'm like, a remastered game, cool, great, but why is the digital $69.99? Why?
Listen, and it all goes back to if I'm paying $60-$70 for a game, I want to own it.
Yeah,
not just a digital version of it.
yeah.
I refuse to spend that much money. The only game that I've spent real world money on that is digital only that I probably spent $70 on was Destiny 2 for expansion packs for it.
Right. Yeah.
Because they do a yearly expansion. And when I paid I think it was $70 I got every single expansion that had released for the game. It was like back in the day when you would get the Warcraft, the chests that had like Warcraft, Starcraft, all that stuff.
Yeah, you'd have all the other games or all the DLCs or all the expansions. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So that's what I equated it to. And I was like, all right, well, they do not make this in a physical version, but I can stomach it because it's so much content.
Right. Yeah, and there's your difference. Like I just couldn't see it's like 70 for a remastered game that had a ton of negative press leading up to the point of release. I love Silent Hill 2. Absolutely huge fan. One of my favorite games of all time. So of course I was invested into learning about the remaster and the remake. And then it was like, came out available for download a couple weeks ago. Let me see what this thing costs. And was like, are you serious? Like, are they going to mail me something? Like, I don't know. And I just couldn't do it. And I have a hard time doing digital only, not if it's a game that's like $10-$20, even 30, whatever. It is what it is, because quite frankly, I've dropped that kind of money on much dumber things. So I have no problem, but you start getting to that 50 and higher range for a singular game that, let's pretend something just brand new came out. And we've had this conversation before, if I can go buy a physical copy of it for $60, I'm probably more apt to do that than buy the digital for 50.
Right.
Just because now I have a case, maybe some artwork, I have something tangible that I can hold.
Not only that, you also have the option to then take it and trade it in if you don't like it.
Exactly.
You can get a return on your investment. Even though you're going to take a loss, you're at least going to get something back. Whereas when it's digital only, if you don't like it, you're screwed.
Yeah. You're not turning that over.
What was the game I bought? Contra Rogue Core. And I think I paid $20 for it, maybe. I don't remember exactly, but it was so god awful that I literally deleted it off my Switch and never looked back.
Mm-hmm.
Like I played it for maybe 5 minutes and then deleted it and just was like, no, screw this game. I'm done.
Yeah. No, I totally get it, man. I've done that several times with games here's the other thing too. I think gaming wise, and I think, you probably might understand where I'm coming from. It's like, you might have fond memories of certain games. And obviously there's games that like you always will go back to. Heck, I was playing the original Doom last night. But there's other games too that you have what you think are fond memories of, and you're like, I'm going to go buy that and I'm going to play that again. Or they've re-released it, they've remastered it, it's a digital thing. I'll grab it for 10, 15 bucks, whatever. And it's like, ooh, this is not like how I remember it. And I can do the same thing. I'm like, all right, I walk away because I want to remember it like I remembered it. I don't need it to be tarnished.
Well, that's Herzog's Y for the Sega Genesis. Did you ever play that game?
No.
So real-time strategy game on the Sega Genesis came out. It was one of the ones that had the like the black and white case with like the hatching on it. So it was like an earlier game for the system. Super ambitious. I remember loving that game when I was a kid. So it came out on the Switch under the Sega Ages line, and I downloaded it right away. I was like, dude, yes, absolutely. And I tried playing it, and I don't know if it's just because I suck now or if it was really not a good game, but I stopped playing it.
That's really interesting because I think that does make a lot of sense. It's like you thought back then it was awesome, and then it's like, yeah, you fired up now. And think about the genre too, because you probably played 100 other games since then in that same genre that you might find better, more entertaining, more value to you now than you, or over the years anyway. And when you went back to the original, you're like, ooh, yeah, let's just put that away.
Yeah.
Put that back into my brain where it's like, I want to remember that good. I don't want to have any memories of it now.
So speaking of such nostalgia whirlpools, you care to talk about something that Rich and I weren't there to talk you out of?
Yeah. It's crazy. So you guys are the gamers. I know Richie's got a crazy collection. You've got way more than I do. I've not really ever had a whole lot. In fact, it's funny. Some of the stuff that I have is actually stuff that you've sent me. And it's really funny because it's like I'll play it occasionally, or I unfortunately don't have like things set up the right way, or the ability. It's like, hey, I've got a TV like in a location where I can hook all these systems up to it, but I really can't do anything with it because it's in a spot that's like now surrounded by kids' toys, and we've had to shift things around, and it's just not in a conducive environment to do much. So finally got to a point where we've been doing a lot of work on our property, and finally gutted half of my garage basically, and kind of redid a man cave is the wrong word. It's just like a little entertainment area. So we've got, basketball set up in there, and Simpsons arcade cabinet. And so I threw my old TV in my living room there, and I had a Nintendo 64 that you had sent me. And I had a handful of games for it. And I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to put it back there. And so then I start going down this rabbit hole of 64 stuff. It's like, well, I would like to get another controller, maybe pick up a few cartridges, type thing. And all of a sudden, Analogue 3D, I realize, is releasing within a few days of me doing this. And so for anyone unfamiliar with that, it's essentially the same Analogue company that's been doing, they're famous for like the Pocket. So like their take on a Game Boy type device that can play, Game Boy carts, Advance.
Well, they actually started with the Analogue NT, which was an NES.
Right.
And so the NT, they came up with the SG. I forget what they called which was the SG was the Sega Genesis. I forget what the Super Nintendo one was. And then they came out the Pocket. And it's all using these FPGA boards. So it's basically mimicking the original hardware, but with improvements. So you have like Bluetooth support, you have HDMI out native, so you don't have to worry about running through converters or an upscalers and all that mess. what's cool with the Pocket is they sold a bunch of different adapters so that you can actually play TurboGrafx 16 games on. Oh, they came out with a TurboGrafx 16 also, or Turbo Duo also.
Right. And I think the Pocket one stuck with me because that's where I really started to see this thing pop up a lot more in articles. And it seemed like every time there was a release, it sold out very quickly, particularly around the Pocket, you know?
Yeah.
The 3D, though, and it's a fairly high price point for what it is. So you're talking their take on the Nintendo 64, and it takes all the original controllers. It takes any of the original peripherals just fine. But it adds the one thing that I'm a super fan of, the HDMI connectivity. And not only that, it supposedly remains to be seen. I don't obviously this is pre-order. I won't have it in my hands until March, but it's supposed to take care of any of the issues you have with connecting a system like that to a modern television, and experiencing some of the graphical issues that you do. I mean, which you do. There's a lot of different things we can discuss here about that, but it basically, best way I can put it is it makes it playable in today's world on today's devices. And the price point's at $249. That's without a controller. You have to purchase those separately. I believe those are shooting for $40 a piece. But man, it looks like an exciting piece of equipment. So as soon as that hit, like the minute pre-orders dropped, I hit it. I was like, I'm doing this, which is something I never do. I never go down that far with it. But I thought, kids are having fun with it. I'm having fun with this again. I don't really have any. I would have loved to go back and maybe redo that with the Nintendo or the Genesis or whatever. But there's something about the 64 to me that's always been different, at least as far as my recollection, my love of the retro gaming, if you will, is because that was like real multiplayer. Those are the games that I sat around with you guys, and that's what we played on. Like whether it was Conker's Bad Fur Day or GoldenEye or Mario Kart, or like how many hours, and those are true multiplayer experiences.
Right.
So that's what I wanted to bring in. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I would love to do that with every other system, whatever. But the 64 to me is the one that really hits home. And what's insane is it's not like my most favorite games of all time are even on that system. Yes, I love Conker's and I love GoldenEye and I love certain titles, truly and dearly. But it's just that multiplayer aspect, and that's what I'm putting this entertainment area together, and I thought this is the perfect system to do this with. It's absolutely perfect. I already have a good start to it, and I can see limitations now with how I have things set up just with a couple games I've played, like watching Tommy play San Francisco Rush 2 yesterday, and just watching like some of the slowness. It wasn't as quick, because of the difference on just using it on a modern television compared to like an old CRT.
Right.
So it's just interesting. That's what I'm hoping, that the Analogue is what they say it is. And I don't know, I'm excited, man. I hated to sink the money into it, but we'll see. I think that it's going to be a fun little toy to play with.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely jealous of you. But you'll have to let me know how it is, and I'll have to swing by and check it out.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm excited on it. Again, who knows? And I think that was one of the things I years and years and years ago had taken a Raspberry Pi 2 and built my own little emulation station. And it was always funny to me because I could emulate any Nintendo game, Genesis, Super Nintendo, whatever, absolutely fine. But you get to that Nintendo 64 world, and emulation was always such a pain with it. And it was never the same experience, not even close. So it just, I'm super pumped, man. It's been a long time coming. I know there's other ways to do these things, but this seems to me to be like the gold standard. This is going to be the coup de grace, if you will, of making this right. finally, 30 years later. So
yeah, because at this point, I don't know that you're making a PlayStation, in this like a prestige format PlayStation. That's kind of like a PlayStation 2 or a PlayStation 3, the early PlayStation 3s that had the backwards compatibility. Well, I know. Well, what was it? All the way up to PlayStation 4, I think, was the last one that had PlayStation 1 compatibility, right?
I'll be honest, I really don't know. I I look at it now, just picking up the PS5, and it's be funny enough. Speaking of some digital download stuff, knowing that I can go back and play PS1 games on that thing that are available through their store.
Right.
So they've always been pretty decent about that, with having that ability, like you said, with backwards compatibility, whether it was their systems or just as they've gone on iterations in their store digitally, for playing older games.
Yeah.
Not everything, they've always had more of a condensed library when they did that, but you could still do it, which is kind of cool. And Nintendo's done that to a point, with their newer stuff. You could do that, with the Wii and so forth, and
GameCube on the Wii.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Wii on the Wii U. Obviously, no way to play Wii or Wii U games on the Switch, but
no, but you could always. There's always some little things that you go back and forth, and now the Switch is really like kind of the gold standard of Nintendo doing that, with bringing in the Nintendo Online with the NES, the Super Nintendo, and the Genesis, which is just still kind of crazy in my mind.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Yeah.
I mean, if we look back on the Wii, the virtual console, you could play TurboGrafx 16 games and Genesis games.
Yeah.
I think there were some Master System games too. So
yeah, you're right. Yeah, and it's pretty wild, and it's all. But thinking about that though, with the Switch and having the Genesis thing, it's almost like Vince showing up on Nitro.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh God, do we get into the Vince thing now?
Probably not. Probably not a good idea.
No, we're having a happy episode.
We're having a good video game conversation. We don't need to screw it up now.
Let's not jump into this. That's for another episode, kids. But all right, so what have you been playing? Obviously, you've been tooling around with the 64. What have you been playing?
Okay, so Rush 2. I've been playing some WCW NWO Revenge.
Nice,
just a classic. I absolutely love that game. My favorite was that the copy I got. If you recall, you can rename the wrestlers and how they showed up by name.
Yeah,
and so the copy I had not been cleaned up yet.
Oh, no.
So you had Raven was known as Stink Bitch. And yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So yeah.
Any other good ones, or was that the only good one?
The only ones that were named were all the people from either Raven or the Flock members, and they were all something bitch. But Ravens was the best because it made the most sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true.
But tad bit of Perfect Dark, and then playing kids and I played some Jackbox 9. That's available, like I said, for free. Not for free, but on the PS Plus thing. So if you have that, it's available as a free download now, which is cool. You got me into the Jackbox games. I've always been a big You Don't Know Jack fan, back to the PC days. But you got me into the Jackbox stuff. So I have a few iterations of that on the Switch. So I was like, ooh, I didn't realize that I could do this on the PlayStation. And sure enough, to see that was kind of cool. So I've been doing that. And then, like I said, I played some Doom last night, actually. So nice. I don't know, I'm stuck in my youth, I guess. So what about you, man? What have you been playing on?
Dude, I've been playing NHL 24. Just plowing through games in that. And then, funny enough, Animal Crossing on the Switch.
Oh, really? Gotten back into that?
Yeah. So, but it's such a measured experience because you can only do so much each day.
Right, right. No, you're
So
absolutely right.
it's, but Peyton, so Peyton traded in his Xbox and got a Switch again. And he had, during COVID, I had downloaded, like, we couldn't get copies of Animal Crossing. And that's one that I actually ended up shelling out $60 for the digital version.
Hmm.
So he had Animal Crossing on his Switch digitally, and that was one of the games that so he downloaded that and he started playing that. And then I was like, oh, God damn it. I guess I got to get a copy again and start playing. So I ended up getting it, and I've been playing that. But yeah, mostly I had been playing a lot of Pokemon. Again, just getting sucked back into stuff that I've already like thoroughly destroyed, but like, oh, let's play it again. Um, so yeah, it's just been, but mostly for right now, it's just NHL 24 and Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'd love to dive into a modern sports game. I just haven't really, picked up, downloaded. Again, PlayStation Plus had MLB The Show 24 as available. I want to say it was about a month ago. So I downloaded that and played maybe one inning of it because Katie plays it. I wasn't, but even she hasn't played it a lot. Um, and if we spent quite a bit of time in 23. And it's funny though, sports games that just kind of ebb and flow like that. Now I
Yeah.
always go back and play the classics, but um, uh, don't really have. I really wish I would have picked up college football, but I never did.
It's good. Although I'll say that I picked it up, and I got rid of it after not too long because there were just so many issues with it. And I grabbed it. I picked it up again because I got it on sale for half off. And I
Hmm.
was like, all right, let me give it a shot again, because there was supposedly this big update that came out that fixed a lot of the issues. And I don't know. To me, it still feels like the same game that it did with the issues. I don't really know. I haven't figured out what they've really changed. Um, it's not terrible. It's a fun game to play, but I feel like the difficulty level goes either you're getting blitzed every single play and you can't hand the ball off no matter who you are, or you can't get the pass off no matter who you are, or it's so easy that you're like running up the score into the hundreds.
Oh, that sucks.
So, I want to give it again, give it another go. I want to give Madden another go, especially, look, I'll be honest. Part of the reason I want to give Madden another go is because of Saquon. Part of it is because Andrew WK is on the soundtrack. So,
No, yeah. Hey,
not exactly the best reasons to.
I think it's a good segue though. Speaking of Saquon, we do want to talk a little birds.
Yeah.
And we haven't recorded pretty much this entire season, to be honest. So it's been look, let's cut the brass tacks here. It's been an up and down, and right now I think we're all back on the roller coaster up. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, where we're at, where the birds stand right now as we enter this current time of the season.
Yes, I think week 8. Um, I don't know. I really don't know, because here's my thinking. All right, I'm frustrated with Jalen. I feel like he's not reading the field well. I feel like he's missing reads. I feel like he's not doing exactly what he needs to do. But I don't know if that's a function of the offense or if that's him. So my jury's out on him so far. He has eliminated turnovers the past 2 weeks. So
Mm-hmm.
good. Now, granted, they weren't playing world beaters, but I don't give a shit. 2 games without a turnover, I'll take it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Now, where, and I can't believe I'm going to say this because I was so ready to fire the dude not that long ago. But Nick Sirianni, after they barely squeaked out a win over the just like absolutely snake bitten Cleveland Browns, is chirping with fans in the stands and is like getting into it with fans after they had to stop Jalen Carter from doing the same damn thing a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible look for your head coach. And my initial reaction was, all right, he's got to be gone, right? There's no way they're going to keep him around. And then I started listening to the players. And the players, that's what the players want out of him. They want the emotion. They want the fire. And that brings out the best in them, is what they said. And so, you know what? Cool. He's doing what he has to do for his team. He's being who his team needs him to be. We said this back before, if you remember correctly, or if I remember correctly and you remember we did a top Eagles team of all time.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Last season, before they went into their tailspin. And I had said Nick Sirianni was the coach of my team, or at least he was on the coaching staff. And then during the tailspin, I said, no, he's lost this team. He might have lost last year's team, but whatever he did in this offseason and whatever he's done during training camp and this season so far, he hasn't lost them. He's gotten them back, and they're playing hard for him, and they want to play for the dude. So I'm wrong, and I can admit it. I was wrong to say he needed to go. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm taking the same route on Jalen. I'm wrong. Jalen's doing what he needs to do. And Saquon, holy shit. Dude has been a beast. And I'm so happy to have him. So happy to have him on our team. And not only just from a statistical standpoint, but at the end of the game, he had against the Giants, he had a chance to top his personal best in yards ever in a game. And he talked to Sirianni. He's like, no, man, let the young guys eat.
Mm-hmm.
He would rather let the young guys get a chance to get in the game, get some game experience, than to pad his own personal stats. And that's the kind of players we need on this team. And so I couldn't be more happy to have him on the team.
Yeah. So last couple of weeks, they like you said, they squeaked by Cleveland. Whatever. The big difference, though, if you look in terms of where this team is at, to me, hinges on the health of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. That is a completely different team when they're on the field offensively.
Right.
Because with them on the field, Saquon runs 170 yards or whatever against his former team, and some ridiculous numbers. And AJ still opened up for a score. I mean, you do have some great things when they're on the field. It just opens up the offense a lot more than without them there. Because quite frankly, without them there, they were reliant on Dallas Goedert, and you saw a few other people kind of getting, involved, but not to any extent. I mean, you're talking, quite honestly, receivers that, shouldn't be on, shouldn't be playing. They should be probably on the practice squad. But because of injury, they're not. And that's what you get. That's what you get. I think you're right. I think the fire is there. I do like the direction of this team comparative to where we were at maybe 3-4 weeks ago. It's actually quite funny to me looking at some of the losses early on or earlier here in the season, and now where those teams are at. because wow, it's crazy how quick that can shift.
Yeah.
And the I don't know that the Eagles are going to be primed to necessarily make any moves like some of the other teams have. You've had Devontae Adams going to the Jets. You've had Amari Cooper going to the Bills. DeAndre Hopkins going to the Chiefs. You've had a lot of moves already that, however you want to slice it, they're all pretty big moves. I don't know that the Eagles make anything that's a big splash, but here's my take. I don't know that they need to. I think this is a nice, well-oiled machine. Of course, I would like to see something done. I think that pump some more excitement into it. But I don't know that anything really needs to be done right now.
You mean we're not getting Myles Garrett?
Do you really think that was happening?
No, but it's funny because that's what keeps on popping up in the forums and stuff. Is the Eagles are trading for Myles Garrett, or the Eagles are trading for Max Crosby. I'm like, no, they're not
going to happen. No.
Would I like that to happen? Yeah,
absolutely. It's a nice pipe
happen?
dream.
No,
it's a nice pipe dream. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love it too, but it's not going to happen. If anything, if there's a move made, it's going to be an under the radar. It's going to be, padding for an injury risk, or a knock on wood. Somebody does get hurt and they have to fill a gap in.
Right.
I just don't know that they need to do anything right now. They seem like they're finally starting to gel, the way they should. But we'll see. I think the funny thing is, though, if you want to look at kind of where the football season's at now, boy, I think Dallas is just.
Oh my God, it makes me so happy.
One of the best comments I ever heard about their team this year was week 1. And I can't remember the commentator. It was on ESPN. And he goes, Dallas didn't get any better. They just got more expensive. It's like, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And that's exactly the way it's been all season.
Well, the best thing about Dallas is that they could have had Derrick Henry. And Jerry Jones was like, nope, not interested. We're gonna bring back Emmitt Smith.
Yeah.
And then his son had to tap him on the shoulder and say, you mean Ezekiel Elliott? And then he was like, yeah, that guy. And it's kind of like Richie being in charge of the Dallas Cowboys. That's what it is. That's what Jerry Jones is right now. Jerry Jones is Richie.
Yeah.
It's like, how about Johnny Bench? Can Johnny Bench play for the Cowboys? No, granddad. Johnny Bench was a baseball player. He's like 80-something years old now.
Well, I mean, if you look at the Dallas Cowboys team now, though, Johnny Bench might be an upgrade over certain positions.
That's true. Here we go.
It's funny though, and looking at I don't want to get too much down the hole in NFL in general, but watching Dallas kind of fall like they have has been amazing. And the other thing though, real quick, I do want to hit on, and again, I think we talk about this, year in, year out with things, but the injury bug has been just absolutely brutal this year. So I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know if we see any changes coming down the pike, but man, it's just been brutal this year. And, it just, I don't know, just been bad. It's been real bad.
I don't know if they can make a guardian cap for your hamstring or not, but they probably should try and figure that out.
Yeah, no kidding. But all right, let's dive in. I think we got one big thing we want to hit, right?
Yeah, we've got this. So the zoo in Bristol in Great Britain, in England, has discovered on their trail cam a mysterious creature. And if you look at the picture, there's a couple different ways you could take it. So to me, it almost looks like a small deer with horns and wings. And it kind of fits the description of our very own Jersey Devil.
Yeah, man. It's this is wild looking. Yeah, you're right. Kind of has that small deer with wings. Maybe a little bit of cow in it. I don't know. Got a little it's a little broad, size wise. It's creepy as all get out because as I'm looking at it, it's a trail cam, so it's at night shot, and it's got the glowing eyes, which make it even more ominous looking. Yeah, it's wild, man. I don't know. What do you think of this thing?
So apparently there's these little deer that live in the area, and I can't find the name of the deer that live there, but I feel like it's probably one of those little deer, and the still just kind of caught it at just the right time when it was like moving or something. But it really does. It looks like it has a horn, or it looks like it has horns,
It does.
and it does look like it has wings. But it could have been like a bird flying by or something. I don't know. It can be multiple things, but I choose to believe it's a baby Jersey Devil. And the good news is that means that the Jersey Devil is spreading.
Hey, you know what though? There is a Jersey, England.
There is, and there's
so,
a Leeds in England.
Right. So I mean, look, this could be coming back around now.
Yeah, maybe it's its English cousin.
So I don't know. I like this one though. It's perfect as we get into the Halloween season here. We're a week away. I really like this one, man. It's cool. It's definitely a little creepy.
Yeah. But you know what's even creepier?
What's that?
The Harley Quinn Smith and Richie tape.
Ugh,
Yeah.
that exists.
I can only assume that that's what they're doing right now, is filming it.
What would that be titled?
One Night in Richie?